Why dating can be hard for introverts. No matter what qualities you are attracted to, dating can be hard. And it's hard whether you are an introvert, extrovert, or whatever. How do you meet people? What do you say? And what if you get rejected? Introverts face particular challenges when it comes to dating. For one, we probably don't put ourselves out there as much as extrovert. Most nights we would rather relax at home or hang out with just a few close friends. When we do go out, we don't have a huge desire to strike up conversation with stranger. Awkward small talk couple with the fear of rejection? No, thanks. I will just get three more cats and be alone forever. If you are an introvert woman, you face your own set of problems. The biggest one is that you probably don't fit gender stereotypes. Television and movie tell us that women are supposed to be flirty, forward, and fun. Think Rachel from Friends and Gloria from Modern Family. These women are the embodiment of extroverted charm. They chat, they flirt, and because it's TV, they look amazing while they do it. Comparing yourself to extroverts like this, you may feel less desirable and confident. Likewise, if you are an introverted man, you may struggle with our society's expectation that you are supposed to make the first move. I interviewed Steven Zavila, who writes a dating advice blog for introverted men called Charming Introvert, and he says this is probably the biggest hurdle introverted men face. We may struggle with being confident, he tells me. We are expected to be the initiators throughout most of the relationship. It's up to ask her out the first time, to go for the first kiss, to ask her to be exclusive, to say the first I love you, and so on. This can be terrifying because it means risking social rejection by someone whom you really care about. Part of the problem was he didn't want to call attention to himself. I know, yeah. Finally, no matter whom you love, you might know what this feels like. Everyone keeps telling you to try online dating, but you are hesitant because it feels inauthentic. You have an aversion to the superficial social interaction that is sometimes characterized by. I see online dating short of the like not working for a job. Justin says, there is so much pressure to put your best self forward and to be outgoing, smart, funny, and gesture for an introvert like me, who craves authenticity in a social interaction and only feels connected to people when we are talking about our deepest dream, hopes, and fear. There is something that rings hollow about online dating. Are introverts too picky? Kate is 29 years old and has never been in a serious relationship. I meet people and realize they're just a little off from what I need, she says. So far, she's only ever met one guy who she really felt could be what she wanted, and of course, she already had a girlfriend. My family has told me many times that I'm too picky, but my best friend was able to put it another way. It's like you are looking for a Tom print, and you will just have to keep looking until you find the one that is right. Someday I will find the right one. Kate is another single introvert who is looking for a partner, and she is picky and she knows it. Because when I was not, I end up exhausted and unhappy. She tells me, but she is starting to doubt that she will ever met she will ever meet the right person. It has been 5 years and I haven't met anyone I'm interested in. There are plenty of men out there, but none have sparked me. Kat, who is in her 30s, says it is kind of painful to see everyone is coupling up and settling down. So, occasionally I have a self-pity session and I don't appreciate being different. She says, however, I cannot settle for something that does not feel right. Only time will tell. Have you ever been told that you are too picky about who you are willing to date, that you will never find someone who lives up to your high standards? If so, here is some good news. Being selective about who you get into a relationship with can be a good thing according to psychologist Ron Brafman. When you are picky, you avoid settling for someone who may not be right for you. When people settle, they usually do it for one or all of the following reasons, writes Brafman in a Psychology Today blog post. Loneliness. I want someone special in my life and I'm tired of spending so much time alone. Time pressure. Everyone else is getting married and starting a family. I'm not running out of time. Opportunity cost. If I break up with him or her, I may never find someone better. Each of these reasons is not a good rationale to date someone because they are all based in fear. And when you begin making decisions from a place of fear, it's no longer about who you are dating, but rather what you stand to lose. When you approach dating with a fear of mindset, you snatch up about anybody who is interested in you, regardless of how compatible they are with you. I have been guilty of this. It's like you're drinking curdled milk because you are desperate for anything to quench your thirst. Dating shouldn't be about finding someone who's going to work. Instead, it should be about finding someone who mesmerizes you, someone who excites you, someone who don't have to convince yourself to go out with. Being picky forces you to value yourself. It takes time and patience to find the right match, but it's one of those times when it's really worth to wait. And Davy is an introvert who have heard the "you are peak to peaky" line over and over. My friends always told me I would end up alone if I didn't give these good guys a proper change. I just couldn't get myself to settle even though I knew they were great guys. Even when she was lonely, she believed there was someone out there for her. And thank God I did not settle because I found him. Or rather, he found me. He understands me completely even though he is an extrovert and he accepts me completely. And now happily in a relationship, Davy has some encouraging words for other introverts who have been accused of being too picky. I assure you, you are not being unreasonable. What you are looking for is not unobtainable. A caveat to be picky. I would like to add on one caveat to the being picky is a good thing idea. If you haven't done so much dating, for whatever reason, consider this strategy. You could lower your pickiness tilt for a time and go on a date with anyone you are even mildly interested in. The cute guy and your friend's birthday party who wants your phone number, sure, why not? The attractive women in your class who ask you to get coffee, it couldn't hurt. You can give anyone a first or a second date, but you don't have to give them a third. There's an important thing you have to do while you're on the date. Don't mess up this part. While on the date, notice how you feel around the other person. How does your mind, heart, and body react to them? Did it drain or energize you? Does your mind bubble with interesting idea when the two of you talk, or are you bored? Are you physically attracted to them? Use your introvert superpower to reflect on and analyze the date. Don't ignore the feedback you are getting from your emotion and body. Ironically, we introvert can be both highly introspective and hyper tuned in to the people around us, but we can have a hard time discerning our own preferences and feelings until we make a conscious effort to do so. If someone does not excite you, don't keep going on dates with them. After enough dates with a variety of people, you will find yourself becoming an expert on what you want and don't want in a partner. Better yet, you will become an expert on you. And there is a bonus. Going on dates can help improve your social skills. You can treat each date as an opportunity to learn more about how these crazy creatures we call human beings work, and you might practice strategies to tame your pre-date anxiety, learn how to talk about yourself more comfortably, and figure out how to keep the conversation going by asking interesting questions. At the end of each date, ask yourself, what could I have done to make the date even better? Don't go overboard with analysis, but tap into your natural desire to improve and optimize things. Remember how I wrote at the beginning of this chapter that dating was a time of personal growth for me? That's because I used this strategy. There were a lot of horrible awkward date fails at the beginning of my dating career, but as I added more experiences to my dating resume, I found myself becoming more in tune with myself and my dating game drastically improved. When you feel you have gotten a better picture of the kind of partner you want to be with, raise your pickiness shield again, start saying yes only to people whom you could really see yourself being with long term. And at this stage, you might have to pass over a lot of people when you get too attached too fast. Liz is an introvert who does not do casual. If I don't have a great time with someone, immediately I move on. She tells me, but There have been a few guys whom I really like, but I become too much, and I think I scared them off. Maybe I get too hopeful. Liz was in a dysfunctional but super connected relationship for 9 years. It ended about a year ago, and since then, she's dated a few people, but none have stuck. I wish I could just keep things light, as people tell me, and not get attached so quickly. Maybe it's because I know that connection does not come very often. She is getting to the point where she wants to give up and stop putting herself out there. It's lonely, but at least I don't get hurt or disappointed. Liz is not alone. Many introverts have told me that they are just not into one night stands, hookups, and flings. Casual seems too superficial, too meaningless when they finally do find someone they are into, physically and emotionally, they fall hard and fast. It's not a bad thing to take dating seriously, especially if you are looking for a partner to settle down with. Everyone has to make their own call about whether one night stands and hookups are right for them. Personally, I completely understand what Liz means about getting attached too fast because I have been there too. Once I met someone whom I fell for almost immediately. Our eyes locked across a crowded room, just like in a movie. He was sitting at the table alone, looking tantalizingly introspective. What followed was a deep, meaningful conversation that lasted well into the night, and finally someone who got me. It was the first time I would ever felt such a strong connection with someone. So my thoughts become obsessive. All I could think about was him, even though I barely knew him. I know that my fantasizing clouded my judgment, and I felt to see that he was not the right person for me. We had a strong emotional connection, but to the blunt, he was flaky and unstable. Even though he was not the partner I really needed, when our relationship fizzled out, I was crushed. If you find yourself becoming obsessed with someone you barely know, proceed with caution. It's easy for introvert to idolize a potential love interest because we are so in our heads, so we can be in a danger of filling in the gaps with our imagination and become quickly attached to something that is not even real. When you put someone on a pedestal, something similar happened to Steven Zavila of the blog Charming Introvert a few years ago. He had a crush on a woman. Let's call her Joyce. She was stunningly gorgeous, and I really like her. He writes in an Introvert Dear article. She was always really friendly toward me, so Stephen began to imagine the two of them together. He fantasized about being in a relationship with Joyce and having her as his girlfriend. If I saw her and was able to talk to her, it made my whole day, he writes. And if I went a few days without even seeing her, I became depressed, sometimes to the point of having trouble eating. This went on for a week, then months, then over a year. They say there are plenty of fish in this sea, but I didn't want to hear it. In the whole time he obsessed over her, Stephen didn't try to ask her out even once. I knew that if I asked her out, there was a chance she would say no, and that would be impossible to deal with, especially after a month and month of having become obsessed with her. It was easier for me to live in my fantasy world where the two of us were together than to face the reality that she may not actually want that. Then one day, Stephen learned that Joyce was moving away and that he would probably never see her again. He finally decided to ask her out. By that time, my expectations had become so high that there was no possible way she was going to live up to them. He writes, I had put her on a pedestal, and no woman wants that. She said no, and naturally I was crestfallen. That night I shut myself up in my apartment and I cried up myself to sleep, even though Stephen had got over it. But that one rejection was a very tough pill for him to swallow. For months he had pinned all his hopes on a single woman, which made him desperate around her. Don't do that, don't do what I did. He writes, don't put her on a pedestal. For extroverts, what you should know about dating an introvert. Are you an extrovert who is interested in dating an introvert? Here are some things about us that you should know. We take things slowly. If extroverts are the hares, then introverts are the tortoises. Introverts tend to open up to new people more slowly than extrovert. We may not make a move as quickly as you go out or get physical right away. Also, we might reach relationship milestones more slowly, like saying I love you for the first time or proposing. That's because we like to think things through and carefully consider all aspects of a situation before we make a decision. We need time to process our experiences and reflect. Relationships are no exception. We may have trouble talking about ourselves. Seriously, if we are on a date with you, especially a first or a second date, we may stutter and fumble for words when you ask us about ourselves. Introverts are like onions. Our personality has many layers and it takes a while to discover them all. Especially the hidden layers closest to the core. We are private and we won't reveal the most personal part of us until we fully trust you. Want to truly connect with us? Talk about ideas or other meaningful topic. When the time is right, try asking some questions to take the conversation deeper. What in your life are you most proud of? Do you have a dream or a goal that you have never shared or thought was possible? Have you ever read a book that changed you? Your introvert will probably light up. We've learned differently. Think subtle move, not bold. We might give you a sly smile, a gaze that lingers, listening intensely and asking thoughtful questions, revealing our secret inner world to you and what we probably won't do, aggressively hit on you, or make overtly sexual remark. But I don't want, leave my host. Every time I see this meme on Facebook, I laugh. It says, I found out why I'm still single. Apparently, you have to go outside and let people see you. It gets a lot of likes and shares because there is some truth to it. It can be hard for introverts to meet potential partner because we don't reach socialize as much. You meet people when you don't want to hang out in a noisy bars and crowded club. The good news is you don't have to. You will probably still have to go to place and talk to people, but you can do this in a way that's more your style. Here are 3 ideas to help you meet potential dates. 1. Through your hobbies. Pick an activity you enjoy or you would like to try, then find a place where there are other people doing that activity. For example, if you have always wanted to learn to cook, take a cooking class. Or maybe you are the kind of person who loves helping people, so try volunteering. You can volunteer at volunteermatch.org. It's a great way to find volunteering opportunity in your area. And the people you meet at this event already share a common interest with you, so it will be easier to have conversation, and people are more receptive to talking with a stranger at meetups than they are at a bar. Number 2. Through your friends. Ask your friends if they know anyone you might be interested in, and keep in mind that extroverts, by definition, love to surround themselves with people and tend to be very connected. If you have an extroverted friend, they may have several acquaintances whom you have never met. Having a warm connection helps break the ice and allow you to skip a lot of the initial awkwardness at the beginning of a relationship. Number 3, give online dating a change. I know. Your friends and family have already told you this, and sweeping through profiles feels more like shopping than falling in love. But online dating offers some advantages to introverts. It allows you to filter people based on their interests and personality type before to talk to them. And you can do it from the comfort of your own bedroom. Introverts, rejoice. But I don't know what to say. Like many introverts, Stephen struggled with talking to people he was interested in. As introvert, we face a lot of pressure to be more like extrovert, he writes in an Introvert Dear article. Susan Chin, the author of The Quiet, calls this the extrovert ideal. For a long time, I always thought that something that was wrong with me because of my introverted qualities that something was wrong with me because of my introverted qualities and that women would never find me attractive. After all, one of my friends who I always saw getting dates had the opposite personality as I did. He loves to surround himself with people all the time. When he talks to women, he is very aggressive and makes the conversation overtly sexual very quickly. That's not Steven's style at all. He describes himself as introverted, reverse, and gentle. After watching my friends succeed seemingly all the time with talking to women, I started to become afraid that I would have to change my personality to be more like his if I ever wanted to get a girlfriend. Or maybe you there get a boyfriend, maybe. For a while, he tried to behave more like his friend. However, he didn't get anywhere, even though he was doing the same thing as his friend was. I also started to feel like I am an actor by going against my own personality, he writes. What was Steven doing wrong? He quickly found out. Women could sense that I was being inauthentic and they were turned off by it. Here are 3 ideas from Steven you can consider so this does not happen to you. Number 1. Be your best authentic self. Or in other words, be the version of yourself that your friends and love and enjoy being around. How do you behave around the people you are comfortable with and what is it that they like about you? Try to be this person when you are talking to a potential romantic interest. Number 2. Listen for what the other person is interested in. Becoming a good conversationalist involves talking in terms of the other people interest and listening to them when they talk about themselves. This shows you are interested in your date's values, experiences, and beliefs. You are interested in who they are as a person, and listening is something introverts often excels at. Try to find something that your date would enjoy telling you about, and remember to ask open-ended or why questions. Number 3, talk about the things that make you interesting. If the other person is interested in you, they would enjoy learning more about you too. And about what gets you excited. Are they asking you open-ended questions about yourself? This basically means, I want to learn more about you. Tell them what makes you an interesting person. And do you have an awesome job? An adventurous story? Have you read something unusual recently? Introverts typically don't like talking about themselves, but this is one of time when you will have to push yourself out of your comfort zone a bit. You don't have to tell them your entire life story or reveal intimate, impressive detail, but you should tell them enough to give them a sense of who you are. Do not fake being an extrovert. As you talk to people you are interested in, it's okay to be friendly. It's okay even to step a bit outside your comfort zone and push the limit of your gregariousness. But be careful not to manufacture too much of an extroverted persona. Although it might be tempting to fake being more social than you really are when you try to attract a love match, eventually this approach will backfire. You may find yourself involved with someone who would have preferred being involved in an extrovert and feel strayed into a mismatched relationship. Later on, you may find yourself resenting your partner's expectation to go, and talk. Yeah. Be yourself and don't hide the fact that you are an introvert. People are drawn to others who are comfortable in their own skin. You may not be everyone's cup of tea, but that's okay. In the end, it will pay off because you will attract someone who is interested in the real you. How to be quietly intriguing. You don't have to act like an extrovert to attract others. Introvert can be intriguing in their own way, and here are some ideas from Michaela Chung, author of The Irresistible Introvert, to harness your quiet charisma. Express yourself authentically. Say what you really think and feel. Some introverts are afraid to say what's on their mind, so they stick to safe topic, never really revealing things that allow other people to get to know them better, and authentic exploration provides opportunity for connection with the right people. When it comes to expression, a little goes a long way. Luckily for introvert, this is one of those instances where less is more. We don't have to be over the top for others to take notice. In fact, our calm demeanor makes any form of expression that much more intriguing. I know a lot of people who go around expressing every passing through thought and emotion. After a while, nothing stands out. All the words and revelations melt together like a really long run-on sentence on whatever state you are in. Let's say you are at the party and are tired of conversing. Try politely excusing yourself and stealing a few moments of solitude as you perch on top of an overstuffed ottoman. Watching the room and taking a voluntary time out, something interesting happen. People become curious about you. They wonder, who is this person? What are they thinking about? Michaela calls this the power of the push. When you don't do what people expect of you, it creates intrigue. Own the room. Imagine that you are in a place you feel comfortable being in, like your own home. Notice how your body language, your words and posture changes. Stay present. Introvert minds tend to live the present moment and go wandering. This puts a vacant look on our face and people know we are not with them. To be more present, try to experience the moment through your sense, the light in the smell, feel, look and taste of what is happening right now. When your mind starts to wander, bring it back to the sensation of the moment. Will I ever find love? As I spoke with introverts about dating and love again and again, I heard things like this. I'm ready to give up that love will find me. I can't see finding myself at the end of my life, offering the same explanation for never successful marrying that author Louisa May Alcott did. I never managed to fall in love. All I can seem to manage are unrequited love for me, but never with the same person at the same time. In the past 2 years, I have not met anyone who I have been the least bit interested in. What kind of patience do I need to still believe that I will find that someone? Being a single introvert looking for love is hard. Every day you might doubt yourself. Every day you may feel alone. You worry that there is not anyone out there for you. People tell you, don't worry, it will happen, but you're pretty sure it won't. What you're feeling is real, and it's perfectly okay to feel that way. I felt that way for many years too. Eventually, we agreed if love is going to find me, it would be, but if it didn't, I would have to be okay with that. Spoiler alert, it did. I'm not going to try to talk you out of your feeling, but I do want to share Becky's word with you in the hope that one day the same will be true for you. Becky tells me, I'm an introverted, intellectual, and emotionally cynical woman, which makes it very hard to find a complementary match. I need someone who is extroverted enough to have me do the talking and occasionally go outside my comfort zone, but not so extroverted that I get burned out on social activity. I need someone who is intellectual enough to sustain my interest long term and who won't be intimidated by my brain or the way I talk. Someone who is emotional enough to take the lead and share his feeling so that I'm comfortable sharing mine, which is hard to find in a male. Someone who will embrace my cynicism, but also counter it with positivity to keep us balanced. Becky used to think a person like this couldn't exist, but I did find one, and he even came with a dozen extra nice to haves, she says. Before him, I found dating frustrating and unfair. It seems like nothing would ever work out, and at times I became so desperate that I poured time and energy into a clearly dead-end relationship that didn't even make me happy. But now I'm so glad that I went in through all that to find him. At the end of it, being alone is not always glamorous, but finding a real connection is worth it. She has some advice for introverts looking for love. Follow your heart, listen to your brain, and it will all be okay. in closing, I am happily in a committed relationship now, life like a Becky, after years of dating a typical fellow introvert who had all the same fears about his relationship fit that I had. After a late night phone conversation that I never wanted to add and a dinner date in my apartment, I finally felt understood by another human being, and the relationship was within my reach. The rest was history. I was the same for you too. Chapter 8. Let's be quiet together. Introverts in relationships. Why introverts make amazing partners. Introverts are often stereotyped as closed, withdrawn, and even dull. This does not sound like it spells patience and romance, right? In truth, introvert can make amazing partner. We bring a lot of strange to the table. For one, we tend to be excellent in listener. At our best, we try to understand what our partner is saying, and we think about where they are coming from before we respond. And this can be helpful because once words are spoken, they cannot be retracted or easily forgotten. If at all, introverts truly understand the power of words, including well-placed moments of silence. Because we are often comfortable listening and observing in a social situation, we are okay with giving our partner the stage. This relationship superpower is especially valuable if our significant other is an extrovert. While our partner holds court, we won't feel compelled to wrestle attention away from them. The list goes on. Introverts can create homes that become sacred spaces to recharge, and we may have a calming influence on our partner. And that meaningful interaction thing, being in a relationship with an introvert means you may experience more depth and intimacy than you ever have before. We are curious creatures. We like to dig deep and really figure out what makes people or things tick, and we will likely apply our natural curiosity to you, like an eager scientist studying a once in a lifetime subject. We will work to decipher your preferences, likes, and dislikes. You may feel more known, seen, and understood than ever before. And finally, we may be the most low maintenance partner you have ever had. We don't want or need attention 24/7. When you love an introvert, you gain the freedom, the space to be your introvert versus extrovert by the numbers. Introvert can make amazing partner, but should they be with a fellow introvert or an exuberant extrovert? In other words, are you happier when birds of a feather flock together, or do opposites attract? To find out, I put together a survey and I asked my Twitter followers to respond. I asked introvert if they were currently in a relationship with a fellow introvert or an extrovert. I received 770 responses, and the result were: in a relationship with another introvert, 27%. In a relationship with an extrovert, 26%. Not currently in a relationship is 47%. As you can see here, about half of the introvert in a relationship were with another introvert, and half about were with an extrovert. Also, almost half were not currently in a relationship. Then I wondered about how happy introverts are in this relationship, so I created a more formal survey and I asked introverts in relationship to rate their happiness to level from 1 to 5, with 1 being miserable and 5 being amazing. I couldn't be happier. I also asked them to identify whether they were in a relationship with an introvert or extrovert, and what would you predict? Would you hypothesize that introverts are happier with a quiet companion or an extrovert who brings them out of their shell? Through 143 introverts responded, and the result may surprise you. The average happiness score for introvert in relationship with another introvert, 3.8 out of 5, and the average happiness score for introvert in relationship with an extrovert is 3.7 out of 5. Well, the happiness scores for introvert and extrovert were so close. There was only 1/10 of a difference. It suggests that introvert can be happy being with either an introvert or an extrovert. And finally, I wonder about who we think we will be happier with. To find out, I asked single introvert, what personality would you prefer your next partner to have? And the choices were introvert, extrovert, and preferences. 212 introverted responded, "Here is when things got really interesting. Introvert who would prefer to be in a relationship with another introvert, 46%. Introvert who would prefer to be in a relationship with an extrovert, 27%. And 11% respondent choose other and explain by saying they wanted a partner who is a mix of both introversion and extroversion. Someone who is mature, someone who understands me, and etc. What do these numbers suggest? Introverts may think they will be happier with someone like them, temperament-wise, but taken with the data on happiness scores, it suggests that we don't always accurately predict what will actually make us happy. It means if you are looking for a partner, you shouldn't automatically rule out someone because of their temperament. If you are in a relationship and you are wondering if the grass is greener on the other side, that may not be the case. A partner who understands. The introvert-introvert advantage. The numbers show that introvert can be happy with a partner of either temperament, but a relationship with a fellow introvert is going to look very different from a relationship with an extrovert. Let's take a look at the perks and challenges of being with either temperament, starting with the advantages of being with an introvert. Amy is a 30-something-year-old introvert engaged to another extrovert, Eric. There are just so many great things about our relationship. For example, when they first met and were falling in love, she noticed that she didn't feel drained by spending time with Eric. I slowly realized it was because we were both giving each other space even though we were often in the same room. When they moved in together, this easy way of interacting continued. When we would get home from work, we would both just relax into our introvert time for a while, and I would read, watch TV, be mellow, and Eric would put on headphones and check stuff on his computer. Giving each other space was not something they ever talked about as introvert. They were automatically on the same page. After some alone time, they would get up and make a dinner, socialize with their roommate for a short time. Eventually, they would go back to giving each other their respective space. I love that dating a fellow introvert means never having to explain when you need alone time or closing the door to the bedroom and kind of shutting the world out, Amy says. Brandon and Rachel, also two introverts who have been married for over 5 years. They're happy if they found each other because they match each other's energy level and interests for the most part. We both respect each other's time to decompress after a social gathering, Rachel says. Brandon adds, our activity interests often coincide. There is not one person who is ready to read in bed and the other raring to go clubbing. They recently went on vacation to Puerto Rico. It was nice because, as Brandon says, we both were fine with hanging out and chilling a lot rather than bashing about meeting people and seeing stuff. There are other advantages too. If you are dating an introvert, there's no running commentary, meaning your home may be a calmer space, also your quiet honey probably won't pressure you to socialize as much as an extrovert will. Instead, you will have a companion for a quiet fun thing, long hikes, interesting philosophical discussion, or long night on the couch binge watching a favorite show. Extrovert may enjoy these types of activities too, but their appetite for them tends to be quickly satiated. After a night in, they are likely to want to get out and get social. Challenges of being an introvert couple. Being in a relationship with another introvert is not all Chinese takeout and your favorite Netflix shows. There are challenges too. For one, your alone time needs don't always line up. I often forget that just because I'm done recharging and focusing on myself does not mean that Eric is. I will just walk into his office and start talking, asking questions, and etc. without recognizing that he might still need alone time. Also, introvert couple may also risk isolation. The more difficult one is the problem I think many introvert relationships have, which is that we very rarely go anywhere or do anything. Amy says, we both enjoy being home and alone so much that we have to remind ourselves to go out and be good friends to others, or be good partner to each other. For example, on more than one occasion, Rick bought ticket to a concert they had but wanted to see, but when the day came, they quickly talked each other into skipping it and staying home. They just didn't feel like dealing with the noise, people in the traffic. We very rarely go to party or game night because we would rather get our energy back from our long weeks by spending time alone. We make lots of plans to go on dates and outing that we cancel if we have had particularly rough day as challenges of being an introvert couple. Being in a relationship with another introvert is not all Chinese takeout and your favorite Netflix shows. There are challenges too. For one, your alone time needs don't always line up. I often forget that just because I am done recharging and focusing on myself does not mean that Eric is. He tells me, I will just walk into his office and start talking, asking questions, and etc. without recognizing that he might still need alone time. Also, introvert couples may also risk isolation. The more difficult one is a problem I think many introvert relationships have, which is what we very rarely go anywhere or do anything. Amy says, we both enjoy being home and alone so much that we have to remind ourselves to go out and be good friends to other or be good partner to each other. For example, on more than one occasion, Amy and Eric bought ticket to concert they had both wanted to see, but when they can, they quickly talked each other into skipping and staying home. They just didn't feel like dealing with the noise, people, and the traffic. We very rarely go to parties or game nights because we would rather get our energy back from our long weekend by spending time alone. Amy says we make lots of plans to go on dates and outing that we cancel if we have had particularly rough days as introvert. Like Amy and Eric, it may be all too easy for you to blow off friends and stay in if there is already someone at home you can snuggle up to, but be wary of losing touch with your social circle. A partner cannot fulfill all your social and emotional needs. That's why we also have friends, if nothing else. If your relationship does not work out, you will want to have friends you can lean on. And especially at the beginning of a relationship, it's important to bring your significant other around your friends. They will have an objective view of your new beloved and may spot potential problems that you miss. And one way you can combat social isolation is an introvert relationship is to take turn playing the extrovert. One of you takes charge, plans a date, and motivates the other persons to go. Likewise, in introvert couple, you may have to work harder to spend time together. Introverts tend to be independent. We pursue our own individual interests and make our own fun. This can backfire if you and your partner become so independent that your life drifts in opposite direction. One of you may have to step up and once again play the extrovert, drawing your partner back into your world. Brett and Rachel have challenges too. We sometimes need to go out of our way to give the other alone time, and Brendan says, I will sometimes go to the coffee shop for a weekend, morning or afternoon, even if I wouldn't have otherwise done so that Rachel can have some alone time, and she goes, for me, getting my alone time too. Braden can be charming and fun, but in typical introverted fashion, he is more subdued in group. Rachel says, it used to bother me how my older sister perceives my husband at times when it's just the two of us. We can be ourselves because we don't feel like we are being observed. However, at family gatherings, I can sense my sister does not get him because he comes across as quiet and serious, and turns out it does not get her either. It bums me that she cannot see the way he is at home. But perhaps the biggest problem with an introvert-introvert relationship is they have a hard time getting off the ground. Jeff, an introvert who is engaged to an extrovert, says he has never dated another introvert, at least not more than one or two dates. Maybe it's because I wouldn't know how to start a relationship with an introvert. If I am happily enjoying myself and my time, why would I approach an introvert who is happily enjoying herself and her time? Energy to spare. The introvert extrovert advantage. Deirdre, an introvert, dated an extrovert named Jason for about a year. The great thing about dating him was that he was always up for an adventure. She tells me all I had to do was suggest that we go do something and boom, we would go do it. For example, Their Dre loves ghost stories and pop culture. The History Channel had a documentary about the best Halloween hangout in the country, and one of them was the massive Halloween store in Massachusetts. She had always wanted to visit it, and when she told Jason, they jumped in his car and just drove down, and no convincing or cajoling needed. And there are more advantages to being with an extrovert. For one, your extrovert will likely come with a built-in social circle. This means there will always be plenty of friends to hang out with and some to spare. And of course, being around an extrovert means things will happen. Because extroverts tend to be action oriented, they have ideas, energy, and a strong need to get out and be around people. You may find that your extrovert steer you from your cozy introvert cocoon at home and gets you to experience love in a way you may never have experienced on your own. Jeff, the introvert who is engaged to an extrovert, says the best part of his relationship is that it keeps him from living in his own little bubble and becoming a full-on hermit. It's nice to have someone at your side who is always willing, eager, or really to start a conversation and keep it going. Take work events, something that I would normally dread. My fiancé will always be the person who gets people talking and keeps the conversation going. I learn more about other people from listening to her conversation with others than I would otherwise. Christy, who is in a relationship with an extrovert, told me something similar. Extroverts complement introverts. They not only pull us out of spending too much introvert hermit time, but when we do go out in public with them, they can do more of the talking for us if we don't feel like it, so they can protect our energy some. And finally, you extrovert probably won't be afraid to let you know what's on their mind. Extroverts excel at articulating their thoughts, sometimes every thought that crosses their mind to be charging of their introverted partner. The good news is, with extrovert, they are not guessing games. They don't expect the partner to read their mind and they don't bottle up their feeling like introverts sometimes do. If your extrovert wants something or is upset, you will know. Challenges of being an introvert extrovert couple. There was a downside of dating Jason, Deirdre tells me, and you can probably guess what it was. He loved parties. Of course, I never wanted to stay long at all. I always couldn't wait to get back to his place so we could snuggle and watch a movie. And Jeff said something similar. A challenge is negotiating a long time. I'm sure that if a C had a full control, our calendar would consist of back-to-back social event every night of the week and dinner with So-So on Monday, happy hour with friends on Tuesday, and a teacher for the past years. She's agree that Sundays are off limit and they are my day to shut down and read the newspaper, make dinner, and not have anything planned. The plans are the challenge. If I'm going to be social, I prefer that it just happen. A pleasant surprise visit, not a plan. On this Saturday, we are going to do X with these people. All that planning just leads to me trying to find some excuse not to take a part in the event. And extroverts do not just go out to meet friends. They often bring the social event right to your living room. They may invite random people over and not telling you because they don't think it's a big deal, which is kind of scary when you need alone time and have stuff to do at home, and and you live together. This need talk for a long time. May look lazy and boring to them. Unfortunately, an extrovert partner won't inherently understand your need for alone time. They may even take your solitude as a rejection of them, and if your solitude is hurting them, you may feel your only option is to cut back on it, but this is not a good idea either because you will eventually become resentful of your partner. Without enough downtime, you will become tired, worn out, grumpy, and foggy-headed too. You might find yourself snapping at your partner, children, and others unexpectedly, and thankfully to recharge your introvert energy. Sometimes all it takes is an evening to yourself. Having a room of your own can help too, especially if you feel comfortable closing the door. Another challenge of being in a relationship with an extrovert is you may have to force yourself to speak up more. We introverts can be guilty of leaving others to read our mind and guess what we want. It's important that you articulate your needs, especially when you are in a relationship with an extrovert who may not intuitively understand why you need certain things. Find a way to speak up, and that is clear yet loving. For extrovert, What you should know about loving an introvert. She was the one at the party hanging back from the crowd, but she was not doing nothing. From the look in her eyes, you could tell she was watching the scene and not missing a thing. When you talked to her, she didn't bore you with superficial chatter about her weekend, as she actually had something meaningful to say, or maybe he was the quiet guy in the cubicle next to you. You almost always had to start a conversation, but when you did, it was worth it. He was witty and smart, yeah, a little unconventional, and you knew right away there was something different about him. Regardless of how you met your introvert, one thing's for sure, his or her quiet strength drew you in, and now you are here to say whether you and your introvert have been on one date or hundreds. Here are some things you should know about being in a relationship with an introvert. Introverts do not like being the center of attention, so don't propose live on a jumbotron during the big game or ask the serfs to sing happy birthday in a crowded restaurant. You may look around only to find your introvert hiding under their seat. We don't go to every single party, happy hour, or family get together. If you are an extrovert who loves a party, this is something you will have to accept and respect about us, because it's probably not something that will change. Of course, as a partner who cares about you, we will go to some social event, but we may want to leave you early because we are peopled out. Remember, large crowds, busy environment, and socializing drain us because we have a less active dopamine reward system than you. And look for ways to compromise. We may be sensitive to the conflict. In fact, many introverts struggle to meet conflict head on because arguing can be overstimulating and stressful. We may bottle up our feeling, revert to people pleasing behavior to avoid disagreement, or we may shut down when an argument does erupt. Tread gently. Some introverts find it helpful to write about the feeling or to step away from the conflict for a bit of process thing, and don't take it personally if we need a brief time out. A busy schedule with no downtime will poison us. A weekend full of activity is a what dopamine-loving extrovert craft, but for us it's often too much. Our internal resources get depleted and we feel the need to retreat alone to a quiet place to recharge, and sometimes we will want to be completely alone, while other times we may enjoy having you join us in a quiet solidarity. Know that introversion and extroversion are not all or nothing traits. In other words, most people don't fit perfectly into one category or the other, just like you can have your quiet moment. Introvert can also enjoy socializing. It's really just a matter of dosage, so you don't intentionally leave your introvert at home while you go to gathering because you think they won't enjoy them. And likewise, don't be surprised if your introvert wants to host a party. Introverts get lonely too, and being the host of a party is a way we can socialize on our turn. We want time with you. This means time with you and you only. No friends, no family members, no kids around for a while. We may be quiet in groups, but we can be masterful at connecting one on one. We will use this time to try to reconnect with you authentically. Look for pastimes that fit both of our energy level. Your introvert may not enjoy dancing in the club after a certain time, just like you might get bored after a low-key night at home. And find a happy medium. Browse stores, go on walks, travel together, play video games, pursue different interests while physically in the same place. Discover activities that make both of you feel good. When love does not work out, whether you are in a relationship with an introvert or extrovert, sometimes love does not work out, and this can be excruciating. We relentlessly question everything about ourselves, and this question can often be negative and purposeless. Write outer powder in an introverted article. Am I destined to be alone forever? Am I too shy? Was I boring? Am I too awkward? If we are the one who got rejected, the dumpy, not the dumper. Self-esteem plummets to the Usually, we try to justify the situation as a way to get over the person once and for all, which never works. Inevitably, our negative questions reach a new low. Oh man, what is wrong with me? Introvert and extrovert often react to situations differently, and breakups are no exceptions. While extrovert might distract themselves from heartache By going out and being with friends, we may find ourselves withdrawing from others and spending more time alone in an effort to make sense of what happened. Also, we may take longer than extroverts to get back into a relationship. Research published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that discovered extroverts were more likely than introverts to quickly remarry. Did you just go through a breakup or divorce? Things may feel awful right now, and maybe you cannot imagine life ever getting better, but take heart. Eventually, things will get better with time. It sounds cliche, but it's true. Time really is the ultimate healer. According to a study published in the Journal of Positive Psychology, 71% of young adults took about 11 weeks to see the positive aspect of their breakup. In other words, people started to get over the breakup in a little under 3 months. Of course, it's a little different when it comes to the end of a marriage. A poll conducted by a dating website for people over the age of 50 found that it took an average of 18 months for a divorcee to feel over the split. Other studies indicate that it takes about a year to get through the really painful negative stage that follows a divorce, and another 3 to 5 years to fully recover. Keep in mind that there are a lot of factors that influence the healing process, so your time frame may be similar or different, and that's okay. The important thing is to start moving toward your healing in a way that honors your introversion, and here are some things to keep in mind. It's okay to cry. Your feelings are natural and completely normal. If need to be, cry until you run out of Kleenex. Crying can actually make you feel better after a while, and one study from the University of Tilburg in the Netherlands found that although participants didn't feel immediate relief, about 90 minutes after crying, they reported feeling better than before they had cried. It's not clear yet why the body works this way, but it could be because tears release endorphin, which are our body's natural painkiller. Also, tears that are the result of intense emotion release hormones that allow your body to clear stored toxin. When you feel ready, talk to someone in your inner circle about what happened. We introverts tend to keep our feeling experiences to ourselves, but now is not the time to bottle up your pain. Researcher Matthew Lieberman and his colleagues found that even though it may not seem like we discover any new brilliant insights when talking to someone, simply naming your feeling with words like angry, sad can help. That's because talking about negative feeling activates the right ventrolateral prefrontal cortex, which is a part of the brain that governs impulse control. According to Lieberman, this seems to dampen down the response in the amygdala, which is the area of the brain responsible for fear, panic, and other strong emotion. The conversation does not even have to be deep and substantive. Simply voicing your feelings and labeling them has this positive effect. Well, low, but only for so long. Set a limit. Conventional wisdom says the mourning period should be half the length of the relationship. So if you dated someone for 6 months, you should take 3 months to heal. This time frame may not work for you, Dove. So choose one that's right. The important thing is committing to making positive changes in your life after the grieving period, even if you don't feel like it. Resist the temptation to check in on your ex virtually. Pulling up your ex Facebook profile may seem innocent. You tell yourself you just want to see how they are doing, but it will probably do more damage than you think, especially if you see they have already changed their status from in a relationship to single faster than it took for you to get another box of Kleenex. Consider blocking or unfollowing your ex on all forms of social media so the updates do not show up in your feed. Even months later, when you have mostly gotten over it, coming across a picture of your ex looking cute and recouple may be enough to ruin your day or days. This has happened to me. The innocent update will likely launch you right back into tears, grief, and self-loathing. Some alone time will be good for you. It will help you process your thoughts and feelings, so take this time. But resist the urge to hold up at home for days or weeks on end. This does not mean you have to hit the bars and club. Instead, try getting outside, walk your dog or your pet maybe, hike or bike, take photos of the changing fall leaves or glittering snow, find a park bench in the sun and read a book. Being in nature can help reduce stress and sound like an exercise or instant mood boosters. And being single can be awesome too. What happens when you don't want to be in a relationship? For many introverts, being single is a deliberate choice. Some cannot imagine sharing a home with someone else. Others don't want a relationship to encroach on their work, hobbies, and alone time. Still, others have met their soulmate, married, and even raised children with them until they pass away. And they're not looking to replace what they once had. Yeah. If you are single, you likely have plenty of time and energy to focus on yourself. If you haven't already reached out to interesting people in your life and cultivate more friendship, having strong, close platonic relationship will remind you that you are never truly alone. Also, spend your free time doing things that you enjoy. Whatever it is you love doing it, go do it. Writes Amelia Brown in an introvert dear article about being single. Being in a relationship can sometimes prevent us from spending our free time the way we want because we make compromises for the person we love. Being single gives you the freedom to do whatever you want and take advantage of your free time. When you do get into a relationship again, you will be glad you went on that road trip or to that cooking class. You are more confident in your own ability and have new, exciting experiences to talk about. In closing, introverts can make incredible partner when we do fall in love. It's intense because finding true connection does not happen often for us. But as much as we love our partner, we probably won't show our feeling in the typical extroverted way. We probably won't gush, cry tears of happiness, or tell everyone we know about our new. So you will see our love in other ways, an understanding glance, a thoughtful love note, or a compliment whispered in your ear before you fall asleep, or something less romantic but extremely useful, something that will make our partner's life a little bit easier. For example, one morning, my introverted boyfriend proudly announced that he had mapped out a route that would save 3 minutes of my commute to work. When I responded with no challenge, he gently reminded me, "This is how I show my love." Chapter 10. Do I really have to do this again tomorrow? Introverts and career. Why more companies should hire introvert. Introvert can make seriously awesome employees and leaders, whether it is in the office, factory, store, boardroom, or classroom. For one, our pen chat for walking alone empower us to solve problems and come up with unique ideas. We are the one quietly sitting at our desk, turning ideas over and over in our mind, and rather than clamoring to make our voice heard in a noisy conference room. And there is a benefit to this. When you are alone, you can clear your mind and focus your thoughts, and all this deep, concentrated thinking can lead to novel solutions and brilliant ideas. So, forget the brainstorming session. They may be overrated anyway, according to Kate Sawyer, a physiologist at Washington University in St. Louis. Research has consistently shown that brainstorming groups think of far fewer ideas than the same number of people who work by themselves and later combine their ideas, he tells the Washington Post. Speaking of problem solving, we introverts are persistent. We tend to stick with the problem longer, well past when everyone else has moved on to another topic or gone home for the day. Albert Einstein, the brilliant physicist who developed the theory of relativity, was probably an introvert. He is widely quoted as saying that while he didn't think of himself as a genius, the secret to his success was that he simply stayed with problems longer than other people did. And don't think that introverts cannot work on a team. In fact, research shows that quiet neurotic introverts make better team players than extroverts in the long run. Corinne Bendersky and Neha Parikh found that while extroverts make a great first impression, they may disappoint us when they are a part of a team. Bandersky and Sa conducted two studies, one that surveyed employee behavior toward extrovert and neurotic introvert, and another that noted MBA student behavior. They found that the perceived value of extrovert work and their reputation among their colleagues equally diminished over time. In other words, bosses often have high expectations for extroverts because they are enthusiastic, outgoing, and assertive. However, extroverts may not live up to this expectation. Plus, Spencer told USA Today the extroverts they studied were often poor listeners, and despite their drive to be social, they didn't collaborate well in the practice. Introverts, on the other hand, particularly those who score high in neuroticism on the Big Five scale, may be the better employer in the long run. Although neuroticism is often associated with anxiety, negative emotion, and irritability, people who are neurotic also tend to care a lot about what others think of them. This means they may work harder on the team because they worry about how their colleagues perceive them and they don't want to be seen as not pulling their weight. So, while companies may be attracted to hiring extroverts because they interview well, bosses should remember to check their expectation. A gregarious personality does not necessarily equal better results. Also, in the workplace, introverts are often the calm in the center of the storm. When everyone is losing their head over the company's latest policy change, huddling in outrage group in the break room, or spouting off their impatient opinion in meeting, introverts are already thinking of new ways to adjust quietly. Introverts and job happiness by the numbers. As I researched career for introvert, I started to wonder what makes introvert happy on the job, what makes them unhappy. Are there certain jobs that introvert default to? To find out, I once again surveyed people who self-identified as introvert. 406 people responded. First, I asked them to rank how happy they were with their job on a scale of 1 to 5. Then asked, what is your job? Jobs range from everything from a teacher to an aerospace engineer to a vegan baker. One person wrote that they work at the worm and cricket farm. Their job was to raise giant mealworm. Shout out to you, worm master. You might imagine that the introverts who were happy with their jobs would report that they are librarians, writer, or truck driver who spend a lot of time alone. But that was not the case. There was no clear trend about which jobs made the introvert happy. Surprisingly, many introverts who were happy with their jobs had positions that were people-centric, such as being psychotherapist, nurse, teacher, home healthcare worker, manager, and etc. In fact, probably half had jobs that were typical introvert jobs like accountant, bookkeeper, or writer, and the other half had jobs that involve a lot of direct interaction with other people. These are introverts who reported that their job was pretty great or amazing. It couldn't be better. I also asked introverts why they liked or disliked their job. Though I received a wide variety of answers. Certain trends emerge. People who are happy with their job often say they like it for the following reasons. I enjoy getting to help people and having the chance to make a difference in people's life. There is just the right amount of people interaction, not too much or too little. I am often left alone, which allows me to concentrate for a long period of time. My boss respects me and does not micromanage me. My job gives me autonomy and flexibility. I get to be creative. I frequently get to learn new things. I love the people I work with. My company value its employee. I deal with clients mostly through email, not many face-to-face interaction. I have the option to work from home. What about the introvert who are unhappy with their jobs? Again, there was no clear overall trend as far as what type of career they had. In fact, some of the same job that made the happy list also made the unhappy list, such as teacher, writer, manager, IT consultant, librarian. That's right, there is an introvert out there somewhere who is surrounded by books and who is not happy. This person said they dislike their job because they have to share an office with someone, they don't get to be creative, and they don't have much time control over their time. Did that just kill one of your introvert job fantasies? However, there were some jobs that were clear losers. These jobs only appear on the unhappy list and respondents say this position made them miserable or not very happy. They were retail employee, call center agent, customer service representative. I suspect this job make introverts miserable because they have to interact with people frequently and not in a meaningful way. I have to act happy all the time. An introvert who works in retail writers. I have to talk on the phone and be nice even when the other person is being abusive. A call center agent writes, I have to deal with people who don't care about you or others for that matter. Another retail worker lament. Other reason introverts dislike their job, whether they work in retail, customer service, or something else, included. My job is boring and repetitive. It doesn't pay well. I'm stressed and overworked. I don't get enough freedom and autonomy. There is a lot of turnover in the office. There is a poisonous work culture and too much office drama. My boss micromanages me. It's not my passion. I don't get enough time off. I have to make too many phone calls. I constantly have to meet new people and push myself out of my comfort zone. My research is not meant to be a comprehensive career guide, but I think it provides some important takeaways for introverts. The first is that introverts don't necessarily have to seek a solitary job. Some of the happiest introverts had jobs that put them in direct contact with the people every day. Just make sure your job allows you to interact with people in a meaningful way. Troubleshooting angry customers, billing questions in a call center, or telling people about the latest sale in a fake happy voice probably won't count as meaningful. It seems like introverts who reported being happy with their jobs had stumbled into a type of Goldilocks scenario. You know, the porridge is too hot. This one is too cold, but this one is just right. This introvert spent part of their workday interacting with people and part of the day alone. They can close their office door when they need some quiet or occasionally work from home. In other words, they have balance. They don't have to be on all the time. They can read it before an introvert hanging over treasons. Also, when considering a position, you think about more than how much it pays and what your main duties are. Do you think you will like and get along with your coworkers? Does your boss seems like the control freak type who will micromanage you? To get a sense of the company culture and what your coworkers are like, try to meet some of them during the interview process. Have a short conversation with them. What kind of feeling do you get from talking to them? Do you seem to click with them? Will your introverted work style just leave it there? Also ask questions during the interview about how much you will be expected to work in a group and collaborate. You might even go so far as to ask about the personality and of the organization. Do people make a lot of chit-chat during the workday and socialize outside of work frequently? Or do people mostly keep to themselves? Perhaps most important, during the interview, make sure to ask how often you will be expected to talk on the phone. Talking on the phone frequently was hands down the biggest complaint from introverts who dislike their job. If their job required you to constantly make phone calls to people you don't know well, it's probably not for you. Choosing the right field. So, how do you choose a college major or career path that's right for you? To answer that question, I turned to Nancy Ankowitz, the presentation and career coach and author of the Self-Promotion for Introvert. First, Ankowitz told me in an interview, do some self-reflection and think about what helps you thrive. Chances are, as an introvert, you prefer plenty of quiet time for activity like research, thinking, writing, analyzing data, as opposed to back-to-back large group meeting. Then think about what type of role you would like to play in an organization. Would you prefer being an individual contributor, a team member, or a people manager, or any combination of this position? For example, an individual contributor might be a freelancer writer, a team member might take the form of being a social media strategist, and a people manager might be a project manager or the manager of a retail store. Through self-reflection, paying attention to which activity will give you energy and which drain you, you will discover what brings out the best in you. Kowitz says. And if you are a student who has limited job experience, reflect on your experiences in school or volunteer work as starting point. Most important, consider which reward fuel you. Do you like getting accolades from manager and client, money, intellectual satisfaction? Do you like learning new skills, helping others, or making a contribution to a cause? Even if your position or work environment are not ideal, if you have the right motivation, you might find yourself getting the emotional energy you need to keep going. And finally, go on plenty of informational interview to learn from pros in the fields you are interested in. If possible, job shadow. This way you can find out what the day in a work life is like before you commit. You may be surprised to discover how much a librarian has to interact with others, how much a journalist has to talk on the phone. Then, best jobs for introvert. Rank by salary. Tony Lee, publisher of CareerCast.com, has been writing about careers since the 1980s. Every year he puts together lists of the best and worst jobs, collaborating with two academics. He compiled a list of 10 jobs for introvert and shy people. Lee and his colleagues talked about jobs that will play to introverts' strengths, as well as allow them to work quietly and independently at times. Here is Lee's rank in order of salary. All salary information comes from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, according to Lee. Number 1 is astronomer. Number 2 is geoscientist. Number 3 social media manager. Number 4 film or video editor. Number 5 court reporter. 6 archivist. 7 financial clerk. 9 medical record technician. And 10 animal care and service worker. Work at home in your pajamas. Really? Making a living does not necessarily mean you have to hold down a 9-to-5 job. Many introverts go the self-employed route, and this makes sense. We tend to be self-starter, we are independent, and we have a big ideas. Furthermore, when you control how you work, you will probably feel less drained at the end of the day. You are left with some energy and maybe even eagerness to socialize with your friend and loved one. Here are some self-employment ideas for introverts. Graphic designer or web designer, coder, social media consultant, writer, author, copywriter, technical writer or blogger, resume writer, photographer, private music lesson instructor, business or life coach, online tutor. The introverts' need for meaningful work. Are you like me? You know that career advice is helpful, but reading about salaries, projected job growth, and etc. can leave you feeling like something is missing. That's because many introverts don't just want a paycheck, they want a calling too. They craft work that allows them to express their authentic self, a career that embodies their interests, their values, their skills, and their personality. In other words, they want to do what they are, really. In all areas of life, introverts don't feel whole unless their outer life reflects their inner life. If people cannot see them for who they really are, the secret world inside them, they are inclined to feel fragmented and discontent. It also comes down to a matter of time and energy. You likely spend a lot of time at your job. If you work full time, you spend about 50% of your total working hours on a workday. On the clock, you probably spend more time at your job on a workday than you do with your loved one, alone, or doing meaningful hobbies. Yeah, maybe you're working on your novel. If you are going to clock this many hours doing something and put in this much energy, you want it to matter. Introverts tend to have a small circle of close friends because when we invest our time and limited energy into something, we want it to be exceptionally good. It's the same with our 9-to-5 effort. As an introvert, finding a meaningful career is likely intertwined with finding yourself. You may feel like you cannot build a career that reflects your identity until you figure out what that identity is. The downside is it can take a long time to discover who you really are, years or decades, and you may feel like you cannot take action until you have complete information. In the meantime, you might feel forced to settle for a day job to pay the bills. You hope to one day uncover your true self, and with it, your true calling. Unfortunately, settling for a day job is rarely satisfying. It may seem like your true talent and skills are being wasted on menial tasks. You feel mean for so much more. Likewise, introverts approach their career differently than extroverts when searching for direction for their life. Extroverts tend to look outside themselves. They may ask themselves, what careers are hot right now? How do my talents and skills with my existing landscape? What types of position will earn me a good salary? Introverts, on the other hand, tend to turn inward for direction. We do what feels authentic to us. We are guided by our own inner compass, not by winds of the world. This means we may not consider what will bring us more money, a higher status, another car, and a bigger house. Remember, introverts are less motivated by reward than extroverts. This applies to our career too. Often, introverts want their work to speak it for itself. This is especially true when we are creating something such as writing a book, building a business, or making art. We may feel uncomfortable monetizing our creation. We make art and publish the blog post because we care deeply about the expression itself. Likewise, we may stray from marketing our product or services because we love being the center of attention. We also want our work to speak for itself in the office or classroom. We rarely toot our own horn and shout, look at me. We simply want to solve our client's problem thoroughly and quietly. We want to earn an A on the paper, even if no one except the teacher sees the quality of our work. Yeah, that's introvert. When you find your calling as an introvert, it may be not easy to find your calling, but it can be done. And is an introvert who is a special education teacher. She has been teaching in some capacity for close to 40 years, and she believes she has found her calling. I love my students. I love the challenge of finding how to support them in their learning. As an introvert, one strength she brings to the job is the ability to dive deep. I will go online or to the library or to a bookstore to find what I need. She says being a special education teacher is different than being a classroom teacher because she doesn't have to manage as many students. I get to target individual or small group, which is where I feel I am most effective. The day can get long. She can handle being on during the day, but when she has to stay back after school for a meeting, that's when she feels it and needs quiet. When I get home, there is no extra noise, no radio, not TV, not the computer. Sometimes it can get exhausting, so I need to allow time to on weekend to recover too. If I need to stop for groceries or another errand on the way home, I avoid large stores. Too much sensory overload. If much of the job can be tiring, and says there is nothing else she would rather do. It is a stimulating job. I have been working in special education since 2001 and have not looked back. Her advice to fellow introvert looking for their calling. Don't be afraid to change jobs if your current one is not meeting your needs. Also use personality assessment and/or career inventories to help you identify your strengths. Sometimes you can access a community college to take a preference inventory. I did one in high school, and again after I had been in education for a few years. I went back to school at the time when my peers were starting to think about how many years they had until an early retirement. I earned 2 special education licenses, then 3 years after that I tried graduate school, and a few years after that I added 2 more licenses. Right now I am licensed in 5 areas. You can be shy or quiet, but you can still work toward your calling. And there are a lot of things introvert loves about their job. Probably the best thing is that they get to work from home. I don't have to worry about taking, yeah. Introvert love home so much. 6 questions to ask yourself to help you find your calling. Still trying to figure out what your life's calling might be? Here are 6 questions you're gonna ask yourself that can help point you in the right directions. Number 1, what message do you want to share with the world? Each of us has been shaped by a lifetime of experiences, and each of us has a unique message to share with the world. After learning about my introversion, my message became it's okay to be an introvert. If you could rent a billboard in Times Square just for one day, what would you put on it? In other words, what is the one thing you wish the world knew and understood? Number two, how do you want to be remembered when you are gone? No one likes to think about what will happen after they die, but looking at the bigger picture can help you put things in perspective. Let's say you live a full, rich life and you are now ready to leave something behind for the ones you love and for the society. What would the legacy be? What qualities, ideas, or philosophy would you want others to have when you are gone? In what small or big way would you make the world a better place for others for years or decades to come? Number three, what did you want to be when you grew up? What captured your imagination as a child? What careers fascinated you? How did you picture yourself when you daydream about your life as an adult? Many of our aspirations were born in childhood. Number four, what kinds of tasks don't feel like work to you? Think about your current job or your experiences as a student. If you are still in school, there are probably some tasks you do each day that feel like utter drudgery, but there are probably other tasks that don't feel like a work at all. These tasks are a cakewalk to complete and you get compliment from others about them. Build your calling around these energizing tasks. Number five, what kind of work would you never do again, no matter how much you were paid? Figuring out what is definitely not your calling can help you narrow your options. What kind of work can you just not stand? Number six, who is doing your dream job and what can you learn from them? Think about the people in your life who has a career that you envy and don't limit yourself to just the people you know. Is there a famous person you have read or heard about who is doing a job you wish you had? Learn from them and the path they took. Do you need a license or a degree to do that job, more skills, or certain contact in the field? Figure out how they got to where they are today. In closing, I have had a lot of jobs in my life. My first job was keeping the showroom clean in a furniture store. I had to dust, vacuum, and worst of all, clean the toilets. Since then, I have worked as a tutor, journalist, editor, marketing assistant, teacher, and new author publisher. During some of my worst jobs, I went to bed thinking, do I have to get up and do this all over again tomorrow? When you have a job that makes you miserable, it becomes a slow-acting poison. It hurts not only in the moment, but also well after the fact. Because we introverts tend to think and ruminate so much. Jobs that sucked my energy left me with little desire to socialize or do my cherished introvert hobbies like reading and writing. I was just too drained. And the best job advice I can give you is this. Go where you are celebrated, not just tolerated. Does your job make use of your introvert talent? Do you get to do these things that play to what you truly excel at? Do your coworkers and supervisors see value in you? And most important, do you feel proud of your work? There is no perfect job out there, and you will always have to make trade-offs whatever you do. But if your job leaves you continually exhausted, perhaps it's time to make a change. It's never too late to make a positive changes in your life. You might just find that a different job makes other part of your life better too. Number 12. Inside the introvert's inner world. When I was a little girl, I was the star of a movie. The camera zoomed in for a close-up on my tears as I argued with my mom. I pulled back as I stared at my bedroom window with the star in my mind filled with questions and snatch of thoughts. An ever-present and utter foreshadow what was to come. As I walked into my classroom, the God-like voice said, suddenly everything was different today. When I was riding my bike through my neighborhood at night, it warned. She didn't know what was waiting for her in the shadows. My movie was full of beautiful, intimate moments as well as drama, humor, and frequently suspense in every scene. The actor performances seems authentic and raw. But it was a movie no one would ever see. It all happened in my head. I was the director, producer, narrator, and star actor. There were no camera crew, makeup artist, or scriptwriter. It was only me and my vivid inner world. Throughout my childhood, I often found myself drifting away to another world. This was a world where anything could happen. A young girl could get superpower and that allow her to command animal. There was danger or magic always lurking just out of view. It was a world of probing question and relentless curiosity. It wondered how my life was connected to other humans, life forward and backward in time, and placed outward appearance, bullied. How much was going on inside me? It was a secret only I knew. I had strong emotion and an inner monologue that rarely stopped, but I usually couldn't find a word to express the sum of what was on my mind. What is it like in your inner world? And in this chapter, we will explore the introvert's mind. We will tackle creativity, resting sad face, overthinking, and more. What the introvert's inner world is like. I asked introverts to describe their inner world, and here is what they told me. It's an adventurous escape from reality. My inner world changes, to be honest. I'm always the centerpiece, but it's my escape from reality. I've gone on countless adventures. It's kind of like reading a book. It's a place of comfort. My inner world is a world of peace and harmony. It's not wild and imaginative, but hummy and calm. It's a replica of my actual world, yet with no classes, a comfort zone. It pulls you in opposite direction. For me, it's like there are two people arguing on issues all the time. This rule says it drives your creativity. My imaginative nature gets transferred into creative action. I decide to remodel my kitchen turned into hours of drafting and building new cabinet bank, shaker doors, and intricate pull-out for garbage, recycling pots and pans, and etc. I decide to fill an empty wall space with that artwork resulted in fixating on a gorgeous tile and mountain line and turned into hours of learning the Bob Ross landscape painting technique to make my own masterpiece. It houses emotions no one else sees. My emotions play out on the canvas of my inner world. Brandon says, I naturally tend not to express them too widely in an outward sense, but they are rich and vivid on the inside. I have spent decades learning their nuance to the point where I can often notice the second an emotion and begin to bud and watch it unfold throughout my body. Yeah, it's truly another world. My inner world is endlessly expansive. I usually retreat to the vision I have for myself someday, a cozy cottage surrounded by trees and woodland creatures, but I also sometimes escape into worlds that are not realistic. They are magically and beautiful. Other times I retreat into places I've been to before where I was really happy, Amelia says. Introverts and creativity by the numbers. Introverts spend a lot of time to reflect, analyze, and daydream. Does this make introverts creative? To find out, I once again survey people who self-identify as introvert. A whopping 809 introverts responded more than for any other survey. First, I simply asked, do you consider yourself to be a creative person? The result is 81% yes. Wow, about 4 out of 5 introverts describe themselves as creative. Maybe all the time in our head really does pay off. And next I asked about the type of creative activities introverts like to do. I gave them several options and said they could pick more than one. They could also add their own. They responded. Write our journal is 61%, paint, draw, do graphic design or sculpt is 42%, create music 16%, like thinking of new ideas is 61%. Yeah. Next I asked, do you think your introversion helps make you a more creative person? The result is 74% is yes. I found it fascinating how the majority of introverts agree that their quiet reflective nature boosts their creativity. And finally, of the other people who answer yes to the previous question, I asked why they thought their introversion helped make them more creative. I received 391 responses. Here is a sampling of what they wrote. I have more time to reflect than someone who is going out all the time. The creative process requires a lot of time to think, to feel, to process everything, then to bring it all out into the creative work. No one understands them more than introvert. Being introverted means I am not distracted by other people in general. I'm not concerned with what everyone else is doing. I think creativity comes from within and we are wired to look inside first. As an introvert, I have a hard time expressing my feeling and prefer to do so with art. I am able to be quiet and just take in the world, take in humanity and its essence, process it in the hundreds of ways that introverts do, and create something that speaks to the human in all of us. I make the world inside my head come to live through art. What introverts bring to the creative process? The number shows that generally introverts are creative folk. Does this mean introverts are more creative than extroverts? That's a tough question to answer. I know a lot of creative introverts like Anna, who draws dinosaurs, comic, or Brendan, who started a podcast about the dead ideas. I know creative extrovert too, like Misa, who built a website where anyone can trade services sans currency, or Adriani, who photograph bands. For every creative introvert I personally know, I can think of an extrovert who is creative. I believe both extrovert and introvert can be creative. However, introvert may have an age, according to studies by psychologists Mihaly and Gregory Fess. The most spectacularly creative people in a given field tend to be introverted, although they have found a way to be extroverted enough to share their idea with others and advance their own project. They still see themselves as individuals who run spirited from the heart. Perhaps the greatest strange introvert bring to the creative process is our ability to work alone. And it's not just that we are capable of working alone. We realize working alone. Solitude has long been linked to creativity. Pablo Picasso believed that artists could never accomplish any serious creative endeavor unless they worked alone. And likewise, psychologists agree that solitude is essential to doing our best creative work, and the distinguished psychologist Hans Eysenck once noted that introversion and creativity go hand in hand because working alone allows a person to better concentrate on the task before them. Also, spending less time with other people conserve energy for creative work. Conversation with others may inspire us. Having new experiences may spark ideas, and our relationships may connect us to be greater whole, but it's in solitude that we excavate the riches of our hidden inner world. Chapter 13. Work with your introversion rather than fight against it. When Dave Randall was a child, he was always trying to make people laugh. Hyperactive and attention-loving, he was a typical class don't. Yeah, I was a bad kid, at least. That's what everyone told me. Dave writes in his book, The Freak Factor. I was told repeatedly I was obnoxious and immature, had a bad attitude, and lacked self-control. Even my parents called me motor mouth because of my non-stop chatter, because of comment like this. Dave didn't have a lot of hope for the future. You can only hear people tell you something is wrong with you for so long before you begin to believe them. His problems seemed to follow him almost everywhere he went. Only a few weeks into his job at a large nonprofit, his boss and a few colleagues sat him down. They had a lot of complaint about him. I didn't ask for their input, and I talked too much, too often, and for too long in the meeting, he writes. I didn't seem open to their involvement. If Dave didn't make some major changes soon, his boss told him he would be out of a job. Seeing the writing on the wall, Dave quit and took another position, but things were not much better there. His work style clashed with his boss. As a result, he was constantly frustrated and irritable. His weight began to balloon as his eating habit and sleep pattern deteriorated, and every day became a battle. Once again, Dave's boss gave him the change, your weight or else talk. That's when it hit him. He needed a drastically different approach at that point. Dave could have gone down the traditional self-development route, which is to focus on fixing your weaknesses. Instead of, he chose a different way. I didn't improve by overcoming my weaknesses. I didn't really change myself at all. I succeeded by flaunting my weaknesses and finding situations that value the positive side of my apparent flaw. Think about that for a moment. Instead of changing himself, he changed his situation. Dave quit his job as a manager and started working as a college professor. This change allowed him to teach two of his favorite topics, strategy and managing change. He also started a business that helped companies with strategic planning. He found that his client appreciated his strategic thinking and ability to help them see the big picture, and gradually he transitions from consulting to training to professional speaking. Today, he is a successful speaker and author. He has spoken to audiences on every inhabited continent. He has given talks to the United States Air Force and the Australian government, as well as to numerous Fortune 500 companies like AT&T, State Farm, Ralph Lauren, and GlaxoSmithKline. As a keynote speaker, he is often prized for his energy and enthusiasm. He believes his passion helped him connect with his audience, and Dave loves it. And he is gotten his health and sanity back. I have lost my weight and started running marathon, ultra marathons, and triathlons. He writes, I feel energized and confident. My work provides me with happiness, fulfillment, and energized and confident. My work provides, a lot of good stuff. No one criticizes Dave for his weaknesses anymore, but don't get him wrong. He will be the first to tell you that all his old flaws are still there. His flaws just don't matter anymore. What makes you weird also makes you wonderful. And I have met Dave, and I can tell you that he is very much an extrovert. He's the kind of guy you cannot miss. He's over 6 feet tall and loves wearing anything pink, pink shoes, pink sweat coat, you name it. He has a lot of energy, and when he gets on the stage to speak, people listen. You probably cannot relate to some part of his story. Nevertheless, I wanted to share it with you like many introvert. Dave too had some aspect of his temperament that seems to be less than ideal, troublesome even. I shared Dave's story because he did something that is counterintuitive for most people, and it worked. He didn't take the approach that is normally recommended for improving oneself. He didn't make a 5-step to plan to talk less. He didn't meditate on the mantra, calm down and stop talking, calm down and stop talking. Instead of focusing on his weaknesses, he leaned into the thing that he was already good at, job-wise. He went where he was celebrated, not just tolerated. There is a powerful lesson in Dave's story for all of us. Don't get me wrong. There's immense value in improving your skill. Becoming a teacher forced me to become more comfortable with the spotlight. Going on a date helped me get better at the give and take conversation. Likewise, Andre made a plan to improve his social skill, and Sanwa decided to make more friends when she moved to a new city. And Katrina worked on her networking ability. That's not the kind of self-improvement. Improving some basic skills if they are lacking that I am talking about here. Dave likes to say, what makes us weird also makes us wonderful. What makes us weak also makes us strong. In other words, on the other side of your weaknesses are your strengths. This advice can apply to anyone of any temperament or personality, but here I'm going to apply it to introverts. So you are quiet and you don't always know what to say. On the other side of that weaknesses is a powerful analytical mind. You get overstimulated more easily than others. In your solitude, you solve problems, think of new ideas, and create when you speak. Your reflective mind processing things deeply. Instead of seeing your introvert qualities as your biggest flaw, consider that they may actually be your biggest strength. Do keep on improving your skills and work on the thing that holds you back. You can do it. But make sure you don't miss the big picture, seeking situations that play to your natural strengths. That's how you will get ahead and build the kind of life you really want. Job-wise, find a career that demands that you use your introvert skill, whether it's social work, social media, leading a company, or building your own. When it comes to the close relationship in your life, you run yourself with only two who energize you, not drain you. Your good friends and significant others should leave you feeling richer and fuller after being around them. You have no obligation to maintain a one-sided friendship or toxic relationship. Introverts have a tendency to internalize things. When there is a problem in our life, we turn inward and point the finger, blame squarely at ourselves. There is nothing wrong with taking responsibility for your actions. In fact, I believe the world would be a better place if everyone had a strong sense of personality or responsibility, but many introverts go overboard in this area. When we find ourselves in a soul-sucking job or a draining relationship, the first thing some of us do is try to adapt ourselves to the situation. We bend to everyone else's needs and forget about our own. While being adaptable can be a good thing, being too adaptable can be downright dangerous. It means you start living inauthentically. It means you bend so much that you don't recognize yourself anymore, and this can lead to a life of perpetual exhaustion. Change your situation, change your life.